Hi everyone, I hope you are having a wonderful time. Today I'm going to share my experience of using this Galian Audio TS120 SE by Thomas and Stereo. So this one retail for $4,500 currently available. This is a special edition, so that's why more expensive than regular version, which is TS120, which retail for around 3,500 US dollars. That's including import duties and shipping and everything. This one came in the small wooden or some sort of a plywood box with metal reinforced corners, so very well protected packaging that it came with. So I'm very happy with that. So build quality is full aluminum chassis as far as I can see. Those knobs are not up to my liking in terms of precision and feeling wise. The quality of the build is very good, and it uses the PS Vane KT88 power tubes with TAD pre-tubes. Design is similar to Dodge 10, but I never had or I never heard Dodge 10 Mark III before this. So I started using TS120 SE in my streaming setup using KLH Model 3, CSS Audio 2 TTX towers, and Musician Night 1 stand mount speakers, listening to music and streaming Netflix and that kind of stuff, right? The DAC I was using was SMS SU9 Ultra, so it sounded real nice, but it doesn't work very well with Musician Night 1 due to very low sensitivity of the speaker, so I scratched that and I stopped using it. Then I went back to KLH Model 3 and 2 TTX towers, and it's more suited to KLH Model 3 based on my pairing. The speaker cable I was using was a Belden 9497 twisted cables in double run setup, 4 cables on each channel. So that setup sounded wonderful, very musical. Sound is very open and spacious sound with nice air. I was very happy with the combination. So then I moved this amplifier over to this main system. Even at the streaming setup, I find it to be a bit magnetostriction, the little hum, the noise that I could hear from a transformer kind of bothered me a little bit, especially when there is no load. So it's about 60 hertz range, 40 dB loudness when it's idling. So that's the tiny bit of downside. Because of that, I put these isolation filters underneath because I don't want the vibration causing, or more noise, so it reduced a few dB. So that's the one thing that I would like to mention. It your case may be totally different. I'm just very sensitive to it. And next thing is the input selector, right? Input selector, you have to be careful. If you select it between, then it's gonna jump all over. So that means you are not selected proper position. Because of that, I end up only using the remote control, input 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's more precise, and you will not have that problem. And I try a few different DACs. Eversolo DMP A8, Dina Philips Pontus 2, and there's a soon-to-be reviewed SMS SUX. In the end, I end up going back to that Sony HAPC1ES music server direct connection due to different level of gain that these DACs are putting out. So I rather be listening to cleaner, quieter background with the Sony music server direct input to this 120 SE without overemphasizing certain frequencies. This KT88 usually gives you nice balanced sound with a very good bass quality. So if you are used to EL34 or those kind of power tubes, they are a little bit more on a mid-range focus with a little bass is a little loose for my taste, right? So this one totally get the job done with very nice bass quality and nice and precision notes that it can produce in terms of tube amplification. So I'm not comparing it to my solid state amps, right? And I play around with it, including tube rolling. So Thomas sent me with this Mullard KD88 tubes with this review sample, and I tried it. Why I didn't like it? Because the bass is a little too loose. Sound is a bit softer in general, but bass quality, I mean, I totally prefer standard KD88 tubes that they use from PS Vane. So that is a very good and very good sounding combination they put together for this setup, right? You have to try PS Vane tubes that they included in this setup for quite a long time to know the sound of it or to get it settled, because the tubes that they included is very good and neutral sound. That's how I would say it. But if you really play around with it, especially the sound signature that they have, A and T and B, right? 3 selection that you can use that knob. I always prefer A selection. So T is for the tone control. Even without touching the tone control, as soon as you change it to T, what happens is sound is a bit more open and the background noise floor is a little bit more elevated, tiny bit more. When I switch it to B, same thing, but sound is more open. So the bass is, bass quality maybe slightly better, but personally, I don't like T or B selection. I prefer A personally for me, because T and B, either of those selections sound bright for my taste. You can change it to class A, B, and biasing is very easy. It's automatic biasing is very easy to do. Just use a few buttons. Even you can do it from the remote control. AB, I do not like it. It's okay to have it there if you want a little bit more oomph in the lower end, but it's all depending on your setup and speaker as well. So when I was using Eversolo DMP A8, I have the DSP enable. It fine-tune it to the way I like it. Then the sound is incredible. Bass quality, high frequency extension, mid-range accuracy, everything is super nice. So that is involved the DSP tuning, but straight 2-channel music listening, I only like the Class A design. So that is, you are getting 30 watts of Class A power, and maximum or dynamic power, you get it around like 75 watts according to Galleon website. Class AB, you are getting RMS power of 50 watt and 100 watt dynamic power. So these two of my reference speakers currently I'm using is Pioneer TED S1EX and JBL L100 Classic 75th. Both will totally reveal sound differences between Class A and Class AB, or even the sound signature selection A or T or B. So I tried T selector with the tone control, treble, and bass. So that tone control knob is, it just give you a touch more improvement in, let's say if you are playing with the bass control, then a touch more improvement in bass quality, high frequency, the treble control, same thing. So those are very well designed, I would say, without influencing the overall sound signature of the amplifier, just give you slight improvement. So, but I don't use tone control in general. I would say it has very good high current amplification that give you good control and grip of your speakers. So when I was using JBL L100 Classic 75th, it have no problem giving me very good high frequency extension and space and air width, very nice and precise stereo image with very good accurate sound in mid-range region. But when it's come to bass, it's kind of a little loose for my taste. But don't get me wrong, deep bass it can produce. Then when I switch it over to this S1EX towers, bass control get less and then more cohesive and deeper soundstage, highs and mid-range, everything is great. The voices and like holographic three-dimensional soundstage is very good. Harmonic sound that produced by tubes come with it, so it has nice balanced sound between that combination. I truly enjoy pairing with this JBL L100 Classic 75th. That's what you will hear in my sound sample. As usual, I'll be using very same track. For the RCA cable, I'm only using Marantz OEM cables. I also try with AudioQuest King Cobra cable, and King Cobra cable sound slightly less air, nothing major, so I end up not using it. So I end up keep on using with this Marantz OEM cable, and this combination is very good. When I compare to my Accuphase E4000, the difference in background noise control, the quietness and darkness in the back, elevated notes are more apparent, more precision notes, and those kind of differences. And plus, it has much better bass control. So that is just for those of you. I know someone is gonna ask me, right, what about compared to my reference? So that's how they are gonna be different in sound. Another thing is the TS120 have a more holographic sounding mid-range than this Accuphase E4000. Accuphase E4000 is more on a transparent side, but everything that it produces is more precise, clean and clear background that you will hear. So that's where the differences are. So I was busy switching speaker cable around because I want to make sure I'm using very same cable, which is W3082. So, but the price difference is significantly different, so I am not gonna complain anything. But for the $4,500, I surely think that they could improve a bit more in terms of refinement and the knobs, the precision knobs, quieter transformer. This TS120 SE is who wants to hear more openness and more like a dynamic sound out of tube amplification. This amp is for those of you that want that kind of sound signature. So system pairing is going to be one of the major important one. Without tuning DSP, I totally love the pairing with my Sony HAP-Z1 ES Music Server. Pairing synergy wise is nice and smooth sounding and airy feeling that totally shows you the quality of tube amplifier. This volume control knob position will get me around 85 and between 95 dB range. I cannot crank it up more because it's gonna introduce a little bit higher noise floor. So that is the limit. Unless you have better sensitive speaker, then you may be able to do it. Usually, we don't listen that kind of loudness level. My average listening level is between 65 and 75 dB range. So if you are thinking of like $6,000-$7,000 tube amps or solid state amps, you should try this. This is gonna be great option for you to consider an audition in your system. So that is my experience that I like to share with you. Thank you for watching and happy listening.
Next one it's called Kiss of Life. And let's hear some bass. The sky, that's the color of love. There must have been an angel by my side. Something heavenly came down from above. He led me to you. He On the bass, Mr. 그리고 Keisuke-san. On the guitar, Onuma Yosuke-san.